Hi, you're watching India Today Global with me, Ishita Mitra.
And me, Shashank Matu.
So we have been tracking the US elections for you for the past few months, and now the D-Day has arrived. United States has chosen its president, and it's Donald Trump. Now it's a very closely contested race between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And now to give us more insights, we have Geeta Mohan joining us from Florida. Thank you, Geeta, for joining us. So please walk us through how did this day unfold in USA? How did this victory come for Donald Trump?
Well, it has been a very, very interesting day. It started with what we were calling a very, very tight race, but with most to Trump, it doesn't seem like it was a tight race. In fact, not just the electoral votes, the popular votes also going Trump's way surely means that the media, that political pundits, that analysts, it was certainly not a tight race. The fact that they thought Trump is not going to win popular votes, again, they got it wrong. So a massive rethink in US media houses, a massive rethink when it comes to politics. Over here, we were the only Indian channel to be present, to be there at the watch party, and it was an experience much different from any other because we were on the winning side. We were there where the winner was to emerge, and the indications started coming in first when the numbers started trickling in. And then the swing states started showing a more positive trend towards Trump. That's when some of the reporters started saying that the Kamala camp has gone dead silent. The moment that started happening, you realize that things are not going great for Kamala Harris. And then the campaign manager of Kamala came out and announced that there is going to be no statement or address by Kamala Harris tonight, that she'll speak tomorrow till the last. That again was an indicator because should they have gotten the swing states, she would have come out and made that victory speech and would have waited for Trump to concede. On the other hand, she did not really concede, and now she's going to make the speech tomorrow. So the real concession and the real victory happens tomorrow. Although, yes, soon after that, Pennsylvania was declared, and there were Trump suddenly had 277, and that made Trump emerged not just as winner, but he also came and delivered his victory speech in many ways. But a call normally comes from the side that has lost, or a concession speech. Neither has happened. So we'll have to wait and see what really happens between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. For now, there were celebrations. We've shown you all the visuals of celebrations from inside the convention center. We'll be filing more reports. People were emotional. They were not just celebrating, they were overwhelmed. Some of them, a real charged atmosphere over here in Florida. The party moved out, but it's already close to 4 a.m. I suppose many of them from outside of Florida would be flying back. So it's quieter now. There was massive security presence across the space. And while as former president, he does have secret services, but now it would be that of a president-elect. So Donald Trump is the 47th president-elect of the United States of America.
Right. Geeta, could I ask you something about, we've been tracking the US election for a long time. You were talking about how the pundits in the media got things wrong. We're already seeing some recriminations, some concepts of what the Democrats got wrong, what they could have done better, why Kamala Harris has got this so wrong. Some fingers being pointed at Joe Biden, some fingers being for your sense of what went wrong. What went wrong?
Well, Harris is part of the Biden administration. She comes with the baggage. There is no denying that. So no matter what the three very important areas or topics or agenda this election were immigration, economy, and abortion. Kamala Harris camp really banked on the last one, thinking that a lot of women voters will come out and vote, and that should be advantage Kamala Harris. That certainly did not work because it does not work like that in the United States of America. They have to be very focused on topics that really matter to people in the states that count, and those are the swing states, because the reds are going to go red, the blues are going to go blue. It's the swing states where these things really matter. Pennsylvania, like Shashank we were discussing earlier, in one of the subject for them or topic for them was economy, inflation, and it was not abortion. In fact, fracking was one of the major issues as well. And she, as vice president, had said she's going to ban fracking until she became the presidential candidate and said she's not going to ban fracking. But nobody in Pennsylvania was to believe what she's saying, because they do know that, in her heart and her position, in her stance on environment, on climate change, where she stands. And that certainly did not. You go to New York, we did that story as well, on hotels being filled up because Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, didn't know where to put them. They were in the streets everywhere. It had become embarrassing. He did have a fallout with President Biden, and therefore they've been put up in various hotels. Some New Yorkers say America is the land of immigrants and therefore welcome it. Most others are not happy about the fact that hotels have been filled up by asylum seekers. That again is a problem, and those optics played very badly in other states that actually have problems with immigration, especially illegal immigration. That worked out in Trump's favor too. And then finally, when we talk about the entire aspect of not just economy, immigration, and abortion, but the fact that she was coming with that baggage and the burden of being a part of Biden administration. Trump spoke a lot about being this peacemaker. He's not taken his country to war at all, and that's a record. He hasn't, and he is also peace. Now, how much of that can happen because it's Russia, Ukraine, and it's Israel, and Netanyahu is not listening to anybody, and it's Israel, Palestine. We do not really know, but the fact is that he certainly thinks country first, and whether it's going to help his economy or not. A lot of people where this entire idea resonated was that the money that was being spent in wars could really help revive American economy, fix the economy, and that really did not happen. So there is a lot that worked in Trump's favor over here. Kamala Harris came with baggage that she could not say was Biden's. In fact, if anything, this is a referendum not just against her, it is also a referendum against Biden. And the fact that even those who are the Democratic vote base, especially Indian Americans that I was talking to, interacting with, and we've discussed this earlier too, Shashank, they were saying that registered Democrat voters, and they were voting Trump this time. So interesting scenario, and popular votes going Trump's way is something that US media will now have to introspect about.
All right. You have been talking about the factors that played a major role in his victory and the changes that he could bring in. So what are we looking at? How do you think Donald Trump's dream team is going to look like? So who all do you think will be included in his dream team?
Well, right now there are a lot of names. We cannot specifically have a few names, but yes, we do think that Elon Musk is going to make it to the cabinet. Vivek Ramaswamy certainly again is going to make it to the cabinet. There are going to be certain people who have worked very hard, have been not on the at the forefront, who've already been decided as secretaries or assistant secretary of state or defense. They're all going to play a very important role. In fact, what we were told, and it's not about Project 2025, the building, so on and so forth, there is an entire setup that was created, which is which is very different from what happened in 2016. In 2016, when Trump won, he did not have the paraphernalia and the immediately after. This time around, they're prepared. They're prepared with an entire set of the cabinet. They know exactly whom they're going to appoint where, how, and officials that they're going to have. They have that prepared. But they were also prepared with another thing. They thought if and should the verdict be adverse, there are going to be lawsuits. There are going to be legal cases. They're going to be mired in legal cases. And therefore, they already had hired many lawyers.
Oh.
About more than 5,000 lawyers who they had already identified, hired to ensure that they're not going to be taken by surprise or completely left unawares on this count. So not just the legal part where they were completely prepared, they're also prepared with an entire structure and system which will just come up soon after the meetings begin and just ahead of January when the oath-taking ceremony will take place.
Right. Geeta, I have to ask one question about the way forward now for Donald Trump. What happens in the days and weeks ahead? We haven't heard Kamala Harris concede yet, but of course she will.
She'll have to concede.
Absolutely. She'll probably have to go ahead and concede, but he'll have to put together his team. Could I ask you in terms of, the legal trouble? He's supposed to be sentenced. He has sentencing hearing later in November. How is this going to work? I think a lot of people are going to ask this question, but wait, doesn't he have so many legal cases against him? How does that work, a president-elect and so many legal cases? Do you have a sense of any experts you've talked to who just try to pick out their way through what the US is going to do now about the fact that their president-elect also has so many legal cases?
Well, that's a very interesting question, Shashank. Yes, he does have a lot of cases. In fact, Rudy Giuliani was speaking to me in the morning, and he said, and he had made a very important point, interesting one at that. He said that should the Democrats come to power, Trump and we're in real trouble because we are going to be in prison for life. And he said for life because the sentencing would be about 90 by the time I come out. I might never see the light of day or see myself free outside of prison ever again. And similarly with Trump, with all the cases that he has against him. That's not going to happen because the Democrats are not going to come back to power. But what is going to happen, and what's interesting about America and American rule is that a president can also serve even if he's in prison, even if he's indicted.
Right.
These things do not end up disqualifying a president. A president has to go through the process of impeachment to really be impeached and disqualified. But if he's imprisoned, he can still serve. Now, the courts will have to decide whether it be sane to have a sitting president serve term and serve the nation from prison. One. Secondly, there are many cases that that he himself is going to work as the president and his officials to do away with. Those that he thinks are false allegations against him. And most importantly, there is this aspect of self-pardon. Can he do it? Can't he do it? There are a lot. It's a contentious subject, but there are certain legal experts who said that yes, he can self-pardon, depending on what cases we're talking about over here, especially to do with Official Secrets Act. So again, we'll have to wait and see. He, I'm sure, has a plan in place for all these cases, and quite a few of them, even before the elections were held and campaigning was in full sway, you saw a slight shift in the judgment.
Right.
So if not the media, if not political analysts who did not get it right, maybe the judges were seeing the writing on the wall and accordingly deciding on how to rule
Right.
in certain cases.
Absolutely.
We're not saying that they're biased. We're not questioning their judgments, but we're just saying that there could be some cases that will be thrown out of the court, some that they'll manage, and some that again we'll have to see whether he can self-pardon or not.
Right. Geeta, if I could ask you another question that in fact we were just discussing, I was discussing with Ishita as well with some of our colleagues, which is the big debate between us right now before this live was who are the big winners, who are the big losers of this election campaign. Who do you see as the big winners? Who do you see as the big losers? We were tossing around some names. Some of the big winners, of course, are
Yes,
obvious.
India, from India. Do you want to come say something?
Yes,
Come, just join me. Come, just join me.
I've got 8
I
minutes.
see. I've seen a sea of red, Shashank, but I've not seen a green hat here. It's a green Make America Great Again. How excited are you about Donald Trump becoming the 47th president-elect of the United States of America?
The happiest.
Okay, and what did you make of his speech? He gave quite a long speech. Any big takeaways that you take home?
That was a short speech for him.
That's actually true. That's actually true. I thought it was long because maybe I've had a very, very long day. But it was a rather short speech.
I flew down here from New Jersey this morning.
You did?
My feet hurt, my back hurts. I'm in so much pain. But it was the greatest day of my life.
And
There's
it's creamy.
the green that stands out in the sea of red.
That's the golf hat.
Oh yeah, you only buy this at the golf clubs.
Oh.
At the Trump golf courses.
Oh.
Specific, like limited issue. Yes.
Okay.
You can't just find these like anywhere.
Okay. So a limited edition hat that he's cap that he's wearing.
From the golf club.
Okay, from the golf club.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Takeaways from the speech before I talk.
Well, I think Donald Trump learned a powerful lesson that you can't reach across the aisle to scum. I think he's going to come in here and he's going to be a great president. He's going to try to work together, but he's not going to take the nonsense he took last time. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I think the most important thing Donald Trump achieved the first time around, but also what led to his downfall, was he exposed the swamp. I think even he had no idea how absolutely filthy and corrupt our government is with Trump. We're an arrogant nation.
You think he'll be able to clean up the system?
I don't think he alone will get the ball rolling. I discussed this with Newt Gingrich. He said, Newt Gingrich essentially said the whole Democrat Party, with the exception of maybe 4 or 5 individuals, are completely depraved. And 80% of the Republicans suck too. They're all a bunch of whores.
Okay, we can't say that. We can't say that on national television.
They're meretricious. They're meretricious. They're selling themselves and selling the country for personal enrichment.
Okay.
That the Capitol building is like a house.
Okay, please be very
They're just making money. They're not governing the states.
Okay.
That's why they wanted to kill and destroy Donald Trump, because he interfered with their personal power. But next time, what this country needs.
So Donald Trump is not going to be nice this time.
Oh, no.
He's going to be tough.
I think he'll be nice to the nice people, but I think what this country needs is a big Nuremberg-style trial. We've got to arrest all the top Democrats, put them on trial for treason and crimes against humanity, and then punish them exactly like we punished the Nazis at Nuremberg.
Okay.
I think you know.
Okay, he's compared Democrats to Nazis. Yeah. Okay.
The great evil which has threatened freedom in the world and dignity, and it resurfaces like the ancient Rome of Nero, or even the Confederacy with slaves.
What went wrong for Kamala Harris?
She's an idiot. She's an imbecile.
What worked for Trump then?
Because Trump's a brilliant man and a great leader. Look. Well, what worked is that he's a common sense. Well, he keeps his promises, but he's a straightforward, common sense, stupid businessman. And Kamala Harris is an idiot. She's never had any policy, not a single. I have been to 106 Trump, but I actually went to a Kamala Harris rally undercover. I wanted to see what it was like, and I realized the woman is stupid. And for one thing, she only spoke. The opening speaker spoke for a long time. She only spoke for 24 minutes. This is in Flint, Michigan. And a minute and a half, that was the notorious speech where the telemarketer stopped. And she just kept on drooling, saying, 32. Would somebody fix this? 32 days. 32 days. She's an absolute stupid bimbo.
Okay. All right. No language. What's your name?
No. She has the intelligence of a sack of carrots.
Okay.
And we know that. And you see, Hillary was a real threat because she was evil, but she was very smart. She's a smart, evil, like a James Bond villain. And Biden was going senile. but he had a long career in government. But Kamala Harris has always.
But do you think Michelle Obama had a better chance?
No, nobody was. We all. I think Americans, like, if you've been to the Bronx rallies, Americans realize we need Donald Trump to save.
Okay, what's your name?
Edward.
Thank you, Edward. That's Edward with his opinion, and I will have to rush in a bit from now.
Just one last question to you before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
So we know that US election is going to have repercussions around the world, and of course India is an ally. Prime Minister Modi has already congratulated Trump, and we also know that there's some chemistry that both the leaders share. So how do you think this election will have an impact on India-US ties?
Well, again, a very interesting question, Ishita. It is going to have an impact on India-US relations. Prime Minister Modi and President Trump have shared great camaraderie, great rapport, but will it translate into a lot more than that is something we'll have to wait and see. During his presidency, we did see an uptick in strategic and defense relations between the two countries. But when it comes to trade, there are niggling areas which Trump would want fixed, especially tariffs. But if he's going to focus on tariffs against China, then India becomes a better alternative. But if he's going to broad base his tariffs policy and will continue asking India to be less protectionist, then we could have a longer haul before we actually see trade agreements between India and the United States of America. But by and large, if you see, it is on the strategic sphere. It is going to be an interesting time for Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. Maybe there were some concerns and fears. Should Kamala Harris have come to power, would she have criticized Modi administration? And because it is Trump, would there be more relief on that front? But the Khalistani problem, the issue of the Panoon case, murder for hire charges, how is Trump going to react to that? Again, is something we'll have to wait and see.
Understood. Geeta Mohan, thank you so much for joining us, bringing us reports from the ground. It's been an extraordinarily long day for her, so we'll let her go at this point in time. But we will stay here and continue to give you the latest updates on the US presidential election, the international reactions coming in. A set of really fascinating interviews to then break down for you what is going to happen now that Trump is in power, whether that means what that means for high-skilled immigration, especially for Indian professionals, for the India-US strategic relationship, for the Quad, for a range of different things, including India's policy on China. But that's to come up in this day, on election day, with Donald Trump being re-elected to the White House. Again, thank you so much for joining me and Ishita on this live, and we will keep bringing you updates from America's election.